everyone always speaks about her mystery, and of course we want to keep the mystery, but then it's important for me as an actor, and I think as the show, that we continue to grow these characters and introduce new things and surroundings and have them learn different lessons. And I think that family episode really provided that for Villanelle as a character.
I want to talk a little bit about the idea of family in Killing Eve, because obviously in this series, Villanelle goes back to see her family, and there's a big shift around that. But also we could talk about family in terms of Eve, we could talk about family in terms of Carolyn. And what I find interesting as a woman is that normally, or very often within a series, family is like the place of refuge. Oh, here we go. This is where you're embraced. And actually, for none of these women, that is not, it starts off perhaps with Eve, but then that changes. And it definitely isn't for Villanelle. And it's hard for Carolyn. And that's quite unusual. I'm aware this is a broad sweep of a kind of idea, but that's one of the things that I feel about Killing Eve. Do you want to talk a little bit about that the amazing bit where Villanelle goes back to visit her family and the emotions that she goes through there, Jodie? I know you were good at dung throwing, but wasn't quite what you wanted.
I took that very seriously, by the way.
I was
determined not to embarrass myself in front of the crew for my bad throwing. Her family, is something that has always kind of been hinted at, her past, and I was never sure how we were gonna delve into that. For me and working with Suzanne, it was just always important that the audience went on a journey with her. I never wanted to come at the episode and be like, oh well, we know what she's gonna do, she's gonna kill them. It was so important to me that I think she does have a desire to belong, like she really, really does. And I think hopefully, the audience feel those moments of where I think and there are moments where she does feel at home and she feels like these are the people who she belongs, she needs to be surrounded by, but that very quickly turns. I think a huge thing for me was the cast of the family was so wonderful, and that really helped kind of like create that life and help me kind of imagine and realize the life that she possibly could have led. And we wanted to, it's a fine line. You want to show her past, but you don't want to, everyone always speaks about her mystery, and of course we want to keep the mystery, but then it's important for me as an actor, and I think as the show, that we continue to grow these characters and introduce new things and surroundings and have them learn different lessons. And I think that family episode really provided that for Villanelle as a character.
What was it like to write, Suzanne? Because that's a very important episode, isn't it?
Yeah, it was one of those things, like in the writer's room, like day 2, I was like, okay, in episode 5, Villanelle will go home and we'll do a family episode, boom. And then when I actually came to write it, I was like, what have I done? It was, the challenge of it, obviously, then the reality of that. But Emerald at the end of season 2, from a writer's perspective, gave such a gift in that like one line of dialogue in the final episode where Villanelle says to Constantine, my family's dead, and he says most of them. And that's just like, you can't ignore that. I was like, oh, this is just too good a gift to be given. So I always knew, and I even pitched, like in my very early meetings with Sid Gentle, I was like, we've got to do something with that in this season. But yeah, it was, as Jodie said, it was really important. We were very lucky to have an amazing director, Shannon Murphy. And I met with her. I'd written a very, very early draft. And there was lots of discussion, as Jodie says, like, does she know what she's doing? Does she go there with the aim to kill everyone, or does she not? And we both felt, it's got to be an exploration. Otherwise, there's the sort of the mystery of that story in itself. Even though there is an inevitability to it, there's got to be a moment where Villanelle herself believes that she could stay there. And so, yeah, it was just, I mean, writing that Elton John song moment, I wrote that and I thought, oh, I'm never going to, like, I put it in the first draft. I thought, I'm never going to be allowed to do this. They're going to tell me it's like insane. We're never going to get the song. But I'm just going to put it in. I'm just going to indulge myself in the madness of what this is. And it's one of those things. I'm still astounded that it's actually on film, that it actually happened. And again, Shannon and the cast, I mean, Jodie obviously was a phenomenal performance in that episode, just brought it to life in ways that I couldn't have imagined. It was, yeah.
And referring back to my kind of initial slightly waffly idea about family, do you think that that's in, it's obviously something that runs through the whole of the series, but it isn't, they're not very comfortable with family, these women, are they?
No, and I think, I mean, family is something as a writer I often explore. I don't think, this is all subconscious, but I don't think it's a coincidence that family features a lot this season, because that is a theme that I often write about, because I feel that actually you don't get to choose those relationships, they're forced upon you. And so there's something in that means it kind of forces the characters to face people and situations that they wouldn't normally choose to. And that always feels very rich. And I think what's so great about the show, and the reason it's been so embraced, and sort of what Phoebe created with these female characters initially, is just the complexities and the flaws that, these women are all brilliant at what they do, and yet not brilliant at other elements of their lives. And that's, I don't think, represented often on TV. And that's just always a pleasure to write.
Yeah. I just want to also throw in that one of the things I love about the whole series is that when children are involved, you don't necessarily feel that they're safe, which you normally feel in any, in any series. Pretty much you think, oh, there's a kid, they'll be all right. And, a baby ends up in a bin, in this series, which was one of my highlights. And I speak, darlings, as a mother and a grandmother. But, I got the baby in the bin.
I tried to steal that off Dasher. Do you remember, Suzanne?
Yes.
I was like, do you think Villanelle would put the baby in the bin? I was like so jealous.
Harriet didn't want to. Yeah, Harriet was like, no.
I was like, okay.
We all want to put the baby in the bin.
Yeah.
I know. I was on set in. I actually pitched that to my sister. I didn't give her the context of it, but I just said, I've written something, well, Laura had written the script, but we pitched it in the room and I loved the idea. I was just like, we have to do it. And I said, we put something in, a baby gets put in a bin, and the look of horror on my sister's face. And I thought, oh God, no, like I'm going to, it's going to be a disaster. And then when we shot it in Barcelona, I just thought, I had a panic attack, because I just thought, is it going to, but it still remains one of my favorite moments. So what can I say?
It's absolutely great. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the idea of chaos. There's chaos, and I want to talk a little bit about Eve's chaos, because Eve, we think of Villanelle as the agent of chaos. She has been called this, but Eve has left her family, in particular poor old Nico, in a bit of a state. Do you feel, Sandra, that Eve is as much of an agent of chaos now as Villanelle?
Well, I think that's the moment on the bridge. Going back to that moment is the realization that she has been an agent of chaos in her own life. So I'd say, yes, I agree. So, yes, I agree.
You think she likes it?
Yeah. And does she like it? I think there's a certain exhilaration when not talking specifically about stomping on someone and killing them, but when one comes into the reality of their own power, and then also the responsibility of their own power. It's very affecting. And I feel you're able to see that in even real time. Like you're able to see her make mistakes, and you can see that she can't tell. Like she can't tell it. You know what I mean? And it's only sometimes, a series later where you can suddenly see the penny dropping. So but there is an overarching theme about chaos that I think I'm very interested in the series, which has a lot to do with the mystery of the 12. And, you know, each of these women are involved in chaos, not involved in perpetrating it, like how Villanelle's job was at the very beginning, you know, in trying to dismantle it. That we see that, say, Carolyn is a part of a system to do, but we also see how Carolyn in her system is also a deep part of perpetrating the chaos. And then you see it from a much more kind of personal point of view from Eve, because you can see the chaos within her own heart and how she inflicts it on the people around her.